Breaking tonight, new worry about the threat of homegrown American terrorists as we learn that an American man from Boston is believed to be working for the terror army ISIS and playing a critical role. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. That man is now on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, and he has been on the run for years. But reports tonight suggest that he is using the skills he learned at Northeastern University to act as that group's social media and propaganda guru, and that makes him a critical player. We are also tracking reports tonight suggesting that chatter among terrorist groups may have spiked dramatically with just 1 week to go until September 11th. We'll have details on that just ahead. Plus, with this terror threat playing out both overseas and at home, why was State Department spokesperson Marie Harf today focused on Bill O'Reilly, suggesting in the middle of her daily briefing that he made some, quote, sexist remarks about her boss? We'll have that story in just a moment. But we begin with some exclusive new details on the American man suspected of leading the disturbingly successful and critical part of the terror campaign, the social media effort by the world's most dangerous terror group, ISIS. Trace Gallagher live in our West Coast newsroom with more. Trace?
Megyn, that suspect is 32-year-old Ahmad Abu Samra, who grew up in a wealthy Boston suburb, attended private schools, and made the dean's list at Northeastern University. In 2004, federal prosecutors say Abu Samra and two other men went to the Middle East to attend terrorist training camps to learn how to kill U.S. soldiers in Iraq. Once they got to Iraq, the feds say Abu Samra's two co-conspirators became the media wing of al-Qaeda in Iraq, which later evolved into ISIS. Eventually, Abu Samra came back to the U.S. and went back to college, graduating in 2006 with a computer science degree from the University of Massachusetts. But the FBI says that along with studying, he and a co-conspirator were trying to amass automatic weapons to shoot up a Boston mall, planning to kill two unnamed members of the executive branch, and trying to recruit like-minded young people in the Boston area. The co-conspirator was arrested and convicted on terrorism charges. Abu Samra was also questioned by the Joint Terrorism Task Force, but he fled the U.S. for Syria, where he is also a citizen. And now ABC News is reporting that Abu Samra has joined ISIS and is using his fluency in Arabic and computer skills to spread propaganda on social media, including elaborate recruiting campaigns on Twitter and YouTube that include full production videos featuring other Americans who have also joined ISIS. Abu Samra is among the FBI's most wanted terrorists. $50,000 reward for his return to the U.S. is on the table, and the feds even released this audio sample of what they call his unusually high voice. Listen.
If they don't have a warrant, they don't have the right to do that. Make sure you tell your mother that next time, because they might scare her. You know what I'm saying?
The feds believe Ahmed Abu Samra is now living in Syria with his wife and daughter, and he remains intent on killing Americans and dying on the battlefield for Allah. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Joining me for more on this now, Seth Jones, who has worked in various capacities for U.S. Special Operations Command, including in Iraq, a member of the International Security and Defense Policy Center with the RAND Corporation, and author of Hunting in the Shadows, The Pursuit of al-Qaeda After 9/11. Seth, good to see you tonight. And so this man, now already on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, grew up in Boston, went to Northeastern University, was supposedly a relatively normal guy, and then somehow becomes radicalized. And now he, we're told, is the point man for the social media campaign for ISIS?
Well, Megyn, it looks like he is a point man. I don't think we've confirmed yet that he is the point man, but that he's playing a major role. And this is important for two reasons. One, he's got computer-savvy skills that he honed in the United States at Northeastern. Second, he speaks fluent English and Arabic, so he's able to communicate these on social media forums and get this message out from ISIS to Americans and other Westerners, making him extremely dangerous.
How? We've been covering the three who came out of Minneapolis, two of whom died fighting for ISIS, one of whom died in Somalia. Now we've got a guy from Boston who may be right now, he's born in 1981, he's a relatively young guy, maybe right now working with them to spread these videos of the beheadings, the other propaganda that they put out there to make themselves sound so terrible, which they are, but they use it to inflate themselves. How? How does an American kid who's got a dad who's some well-respected doctor at Mass General wind up like this, doing this?
Well, the radicalization process of most recent individuals, including Abu Samra, part of it was actually online. He was, while he was at Northeastern and even afterwards, involved in these internet jihadist chat rooms. He was involved in following and downloading YouTube videos of prominent jihadist clerics. The social media forum has become very critical to the radicalization process from American soil right now, which makes the stuff that ISIS is doing so dangerous. They can make their way into American homes.
It's ironic because they use it to recruit him, and now he uses it to recruit others. In the meantime,
Exactly.
we heard from core al-Qaeda, if you will, today, the old al-Qaeda, the one that parted ways with ISIS not too long ago, in a video that was released by Zawahiri, their leader. Now, they're still very focused on attacking America. ISIS and its leader, Baghdadi, claim that they're focused on attacking America. Here he is, Zawahiri. He's back again in front of his curtain. And I ask you tonight whether this is al-Qaeda desperately trying to remain relevant, and which of these two groups are we most concerned about right now?
Well, right now, I would say the most serious plots emanating and directed towards the U.S. homeland are coming from Zawahiri's organization, the Yemen branch that's led by Nasir al-Wahishi, and then it looks like core al-Qaeda has some stuff underway based out of Turkey right now that's targeting both Europe and the U.S. homeland. So I would say right now the al-Qaeda group does appear to have some ongoing plots that make them a little more dangerous. The fact that we have so many Westerners and Americans in Syria and Iraq, though, is a much more long-term concern.
My last question to you is this. At first glance, you think, okay, al-Qaeda and ISIS, they don't get along, they don't like each other, they're fighting, let them fight. But then you think if they're in some sort of power struggle to prove who's bigger, I mean, how focused are they on attacking the United States in order to claim that prize?
Well, they are in competition to some degree with each other, and we've seen on the ground in Syria that al-Qaeda's affiliate, Jabhat al-Nusra, has engaged in active combat with ISIS in various parts, particularly of southeastern Syria. But I would say, you know, the bigger issue here, though, is they are increasingly in some competition for now striking targets in the region and overseas. That makes ISIS a growing concern.
Seth, good to see you.
Thanks, Megan.
As we track these new terror concerns at home and overseas, we are reminded of warnings we heard back in 2007. America was fighting the Iraq War. President Bush had just ordered U.S. troops to surge in Iraq, and critics were demanding that the U.S. withdraw the troops. When President Bush issued this frighteningly accurate, as it turns out, assessment of what would happen if we did that.
I know some in Washington would like us to start leaving Iraq now. To begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we're ready would be dangerous for Iraq, for the region, and for the United States. It would mean surrendering the future of Iraq to al-Qaeda. It'd mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean we allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan. It would mean increasing the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous.
Wow. Mark Thiessen is a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and he was President Bush's chief speechwriter at the time. He wrote that statement you just heard. How eerie. I mean, it's point by point by point what we are seeing today, Mark.
Every single thing that President Bush said there in that statement is happening today. Obama did withdraw our troops before the commanders on the ground said that we were ready to do so. General Austin wanted to keep 24,000 troops in Iraq. Obama went to zero. President Bush said that if we did that, there would be mass killings on a horrific scale. What are we seeing? Mass killings on a horrific scale. Executions, women and children being buried alive, crucifixions, beheadings of American journalists. President Bush said that if we withdrew before we were ready, then there would be al-Qaeda would establish al-Qaeda in Iraq, which is now ISIS, would establish a safe haven. They now control a swath of territory the size of Belgium. All of these predictions have come true, and of course we're back there right now launching strikes.
That was the one that American troops, that would increase the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous. That it was never you know, the defenders of the administration said, look, it's not that they enjoy war or that they want to keep shedding American blood on you know, the soil of Iraq. It's that we don't want to have to come back here. We've done a lot, and we want to hold on to the gains we've had.
That's exactly right. And let's keep in mind that President Bush, this was during the course of the 2007 surge, when everyone was saying the surge can't work, we have to withdraw now, and
Harry
Bush was laying
Reid
out
said it didn't work and that the Iraq war was lost.
Absolutely. And Hillary Clinton opposed it because she didn't want to lose the presidential primary in Iowa. So everyone was out there for political purposes saying, let's withdraw now and accept defeat. And President Bush laid out the consequences of defeat. And he stuck with it. The surge worked against every prediction of the experts. And al-Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS, was defeated. They were defeated militarily. They were driven from their safe havens. And they were defeated ideologically because the Sunni masses joined America to drive them out when they were trying to rally the Sunni masses to drive us out.
Let me stop you there, because President Obama just yesterday, in addressing this mess that we're looking at over there, seemed to put the blame on the Bush administration. Here he is.
Because of what's happened in the vacuum of Syria, as well as the battle-hardened elements of ISIS that grew out of al-Qaeda in Iraq during the course of the Iraq War, it's going to take time for us to be able to roll them back.
Your thoughts on that?
He needs to have a little discussion with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's the one who said that the vacuum in Syria was caused by him doing nothing, which allowed the jihadists to fill it. And look, al-Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS, was defeated when he took office. We had our boot on their necks. They had been defeated, and what he did is he withdrew all of our forces, which allowed them to regroup and reconstitute themselves. They moved into Syria. Remember, President Bush said that the chaos would spread to other parts of the world, and that's exactly what happened. They used that as a recruiting area from which to get jihadists from all over the world, and they entered into Iraq again. And he was being briefed for a year on this threat. He saw it coming and did nothing. So he's got nobody to blame but himself for the chaos that we're seeing in Iraq today.
It's unbelievable to listen to that soundbite from George W. Bush. Mark, good to see you tonight.
Thanks, Megan.
We're going to post that on our website if you want to see it again at facebook.com/The Kelly File. We'll have additional information just ahead on this man from Boston, tonight suspected of being a key player with ISIS. Plus, we will investigate reports of increased activity on terror websites around the world as we head to 9/11 of this year. And the State Department versus Bill O'Reilly? Really? New fallout from that fight up next. And later, the story behind the stunning news of Joan Rivers' death as we look at her legacy and what could have gone so wrong during what was supposed to be a routine outpatient procedure.